So I've seen you on TV, I don't know how many times, and I don't know if I've ever seen you as worked up as you were this morning with Dr. Oz. Talk about that.
Well, you know, Mehmet and I are friends. We went to medical school together. But something about his show yesterday really pushed my buttons. I thought that he was drawing undue concern to apple juice. He was creating a feeling in his audience among parents that they were poisoning their children by giving them apple juice. And I thought that was just wrong and thought that I had to call him on it.
I think that one of the aspects of your conversation that caught my interest was this differentiation between organic and inorganic arsenic and whether one is more dangerous than the other.
Right. Well, you know, apple juice has both. It has both inorganic and organic arsenic. From the medical data, we know that the inorganic form is more dangerous. And so you want to know if you're testing a product, which types you have and how much. And you also want to know whether the overall number you're getting, whether the testing you're doing is accurate. So if you're going to do this kind of investigation, it's really a good idea to have your samples tested by more than one lab. Food testing for this kind of thing is very difficult. As a pediatrician, I get parents all the time asking me about food safety. And you really want to be careful that the information you're giving them is accurate.
Another point that Dr. Oz brought up is that a majority of apples used in these very popular brands of apple juice are coming from overseas, so that even though there has been a lot of effort here in this country to get rid of arsenic on apples and pesticides, that may not be the case from the place of origination for these apples.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a good point. That's an important point. If you look at our food supply, more and more of it is coming from other parts of the world. And the ability for food inspectors to inspect all that food coming in is very, very low. And so you want to look at that. When it comes to apples coming in, the FDA has required the importers to do testing on apples that come in to measure things like arsenic. And so that's one of the things that's in place. But I wish that FDA themselves could do more of that testing of the systems in place to make sure they're not letting anything through that could be dangerous.
And is it correct that the FDA has not set an acceptable level of arsenic for apple juice?
Well, I haven't seen them with a published standard. They have a published standard for pear juice, and what they tell me and what they said in the letter to the Dr. Oz show is that they use the same standard of 23 parts per billion, which is extremely low, and it gives them a safety factor that's very wide. So even something hitting that level would be felt to be very, very safe, but it's got that safety factor in there to make sure that people aren't going to be harmed at that level.
So the bottom line for parents then who want to try to give their small children healthy drinks is what with regards to apple juice?
Well, you know, here's my advice. Apple juice is safe, but don't just feed your children apple juice. Give them variety. The best way to make sure your children aren't exposed to something unknown in their environment is variety. Give them a variety of things to drink, a variety of things to eat. And I know that's challenging. Sometimes children only want to eat beige food. All they want is their bread or their pasta. But the more you can mix it up, the better.
That is so true. And one other quick point, which I'm sure is something that you think about often these days, as I do as a reporter, and that is the quantity of information coming at us every single day about medical studies that have been done that may point to a problem or issue. People do need to be skeptical about information and consider the sources before taking action based on studies they might read about in a magazine or hear about anywhere.
That's so true. It's very hard to navigate that world. You know, it is helpful if you find someone, your own doctor, who can help you interpret studies that you see that are of interest. But there's so much, hundreds of studies come out every day, and many of them with the catchiest headlines get a lot of press. And those aren't always the best studies or the most useful. And it's very hard to sort that information out. It's one of the reasons I came into this job, was to try and help people understand what they're hearing.
Well, we certainly appreciate what you do. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk to us about this day. Dr. Rich Besser from Good Morning America. Thank you.